If you'd like some very cheap and very reliable coins, check out FIFACoinZone.com. I'll have a link in the description down below. Use Fangs for a 5% discount. They have 3 different ways of purchasing coins, so definitely check them out. Hey guys, how's it going? It is Fangs, and welcome to a story time kind of video that I'm going to be telling you today. So today, the title of the story is one of the weirdest moments in my life. And so this was a night. By the way, the camera, I'm sorry, I don't know if it's blurry, guys. Let me know. This is my camera. Like, I'm focused and everything. I don't know what it does. If it's not, if it's blurry, just let me know. I'm going to try to fix that. I might try to start recording with my main camera, my big one or whatever that I do for vlogging. But for now, this one usually used to be fine, but for some reason I feel like it's been having problems. Anyway, the story. So I was 15 years old, and nobody should be doing this kind of stuff when they're 15 years old. I don't promote it. This just happened to be what I was doing. So 15 years old. We are out in Weatherford, Texas. That is about 25 minutes away from where I normally live, and I had a couple of friends who had cars, and we were supposed to be in town and at certain people's houses, but instead, we were in Weatherford with a bunch of boys at a shack of a house. I don't even know what it was called. Some guy named River Rat Matt's house, and we were partying. So this night happens to be just one of the weirdest ways a night could happen that I can remember of any of them coming together in my entire life. Some crazy stuff happened, and it started out with I got extremely intoxicated. I decided to beer bong 6 cans of Coors Light, pretty much one after the other after the other. I have an ability with a beer bong to be able to open my throat, and I can take down like a beer in maybe a gulp and a half, which is not something to be proud of, but I happened to do that on this night. And so at that, like me at that time, not weighing that much, I actually weighed more than I do now, I bet. I weighed about 135, 140 pounds. I was pretty intoxicated. And so somehow the night started out, the weirdest part of the night started out, I decided that I wanted to make out with this guy. This was before Will, right after like a 6-month relationship I had with a guy named Rowdy. Do not ask. But I met this guy named Jared, and for some reason we decided to make out, and he was like this tall 6'4" blonde cowboy guy, and he decided to ask me to be his girlfriend, although he had just met that night. So I made a boyfriend this night, which was already the beginning. Made a boyfriend, and then I remember at one point walking into the house. These are my brief flashing memories. Walking into the house of this shack. It wasn't, I don't even know what you would call it. It was pretty much, it was like no, it only had 2 bedrooms. It was like a 2-bedroom, small, maybe made out of tin, if I can remember correctly, house, and it was right on a river. I walked in, and I remember my friend Sydney, and she was all holding her stomach, and she was like, oh my gosh, and she was so upset. She was falling on the ground, and she had taken a shot of something, and I saw another shot of it on the table, and I was like, it looked like vodka. So I was like, oh my god, Sydney, you're such a wussy. You're crying over a shot of vodka. So I myself proceeded to grab that and take a shot of what I thought was vodka, which turned out to be Everclear. So I was on the ground dying. I literally was pretty much crying in so much pain. I don't know what happened to my cowboy boyfriend. He ended up disappearing that night, probably with another girl. I mean, I can imagine at that age, that's probably what happened. And all of my friends were out there. The night continued on past that. That one shot, it's like 100 proof, if I'm not mistaken, maybe more. I have no idea, but it made me sick to my stomach, as well as just entirely intoxicated, and I continued to drink a couple beers past that, and I remember at one point I needed to vomit. I got a little ill, which kind of happens sometimes when you drink, and it was nasty, but something terrible happened, whether it was something in the lining of my stomach, or maybe I had drank too much, but when I vomited, I was vomiting up blood. And so I go to my friends, I think at this time it was Brittany and Sydney, and I forget who else was there, and I was like, guys, I think I just puked up blood. I mean, I knew I'd puked up blood, but I was like, puked up blood, and I think I need to go to a hospital, but I don't want my dad to know that I've been drinking, because the worst thing could have happened is my dad found out I was drinking at that point, and not me just dying. I don't want my dad to know I'm drinking. They're like, you'll be fine, go find a place to lay down, take a nap, you'll be just fine, don't even worry about it. So I'm like, alright, I'm not gonna call my dad. I don't want him to come pick me up. I should have been way more smart about this, but I was not an intelligent 15-year-old at that time for common sense decisions, and so I decided, I found a car, not even my own car, I just picked a random car, opened the door, crawled into the back seat, curled up in a ball, and fell asleep. So I don't know how long I was asleep for, probably a good hour and a half, and I wake up, and I'm not even at the place that I was. I'm driving down a dirt road, don't know where I am, in the middle of nowhere. I remember looking up and I see fields out in the open, and as I pop up out of the back seat, the people in the front seat are just as terrified as I am, and they pretty much freak out because they don't know that I'm back there. I guess when they got in the car, they were both smoking weed. I think they both were, and they were high in the first place. And I pop out of the back of the car, and so I remember the girl screamed, and she like slid out of control and took the car into like the ditch area, because it was like dirt road and a little bit of a ditch on the side. And she was like, "Who are you? Who the heck are you?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like, I was just really sick, and I fell asleep at this party." And she's like screaming at me because she's like upset I'm in the back of her car. I don't know why. And the guy's like, "Chill, like just chill." And it was this like probably a 5-minute like back and forth. I think she thought I was trying to break in her car. I don't know what she was thinking, but she was not happy with me. And in the middle of this happening, we got flashed by a pair of lights through a truck that was coming down from the other side of the dirt road. And so he's flashing her, and she's like, "Who is this?" And we're all freaking out like, "Oh my god, is this a cop?" Because we're all young, shouldn't have been drinking, should not be high. They should not be high. I was not high. But we were all young, and so we're like, "Who is that?" You know, and so this guy pulls up, and I swear to God, this had to be the luckiest time, because I don't know what they were gonna do to me. I think they were trying to kick me out of the car, and then I was gonna have to walk home. I didn't have a cell phone at the time. I don't know where it was. My friends had been trying to get a hold of me, apparently, but the guy that pulls up, I hear the voice. I can't see him, but I hear the voice, and I've heard that voice somewhere before. So it turns out I yell out the window, "What's your name?" Because I know that voice from somewhere, and he said his name was Rhett, and I knew exactly who he was. I wasn't a very close friend with him or anything, but I went to high school with him. He was a grade above me, and I'd hung out with him a little bit, so I kind of knew. I was like, "Oh my god, Rhett." So I'm just climbing. I'm like, "Let me out of the car," and I get out of the car in the middle of this dirt road. Imagine, what are the freaking odds that me in the back of this car passed out would run into this truck of Rhett, who was actually looking for my friends. He was looking for Sydney and Brittany. They had called him. He had like a ranch out there, and so they wanted him to come pick them up, and they had called him. So I'm like, "Oh my god, Rhett." And he's like, "Jesse," and he's just freaked out. You know, it's like the weirdest moment for him as well. So I go and I get in his truck, and I'm like, "Thank God for you," because I'm pretty sure they were about to drop me off here because they were pissed off that I passed out in the back of their car, and they were already halfway home or wherever they were. And so Rhett was like, "I don't know where we're supposed to go." Me and him end up having to call them, and it's this long time of me and him being lost for like 30 or 40 minutes before we find out where we're supposed to go, because I've already been drinking. Like, I don't have a good sense of direction in the first place, and I had been drinking. So we finally end up at the house, but Brittany's boyfriend was this like Weatherford meathead guy who was super upset they were in a fight, and he didn't want her to leave. And so they're coming and they're running, they're getting in the car, and I'm like, "Why is everybody so upset?" And they're like, "Hurry, we gotta go, we gotta go." And I'm like, "What's going on? Like, why do we have to go?" And little do I know that her boyfriend's this mad at her, and all of a sudden I see this line of guys, just big ass guys, get in front of the truck, stand in front of the truck, and they have baseball bats, and they have like sticks that they've picked up. They're all these freaking guys from Weatherford, and Brittany's boyfriend, and he's like, "Get out of the car." And I'm just like, what is happening tonight? Like, how can this night possibly take place? Trying to get him to get out of the car, and Rhett's like, "You better move," and he's like honking his horn. He's like, "I will run you over." And I'm like, "Please don't run them over. This is gonna be terrible." So he ends up just peeling out and taking off directly at them. He could have easily killed one, which would have been terrible. But they all scatter, they get out of the way, they start chasing, throwing rocks at the truck, and it's already, I'm just like, I don't even understand how this night has taken place. And my dad had not called me. I don't know where my phone was, but my dad had not called me to say, "Where the hell are you?" But I end up getting there. We go to Rhett's ranch, and you think that everything is just done from there. Like, everyone's gonna fall asleep, we're gonna be just fine. But no, me and my friend Sydney decide in our drunkest moments that we're gonna try to get on some horses and ride them bareback while we're intoxicated. So we do like some attempts. I think we end up climbing up on one. We ride for a little bit, get thrown off a little bit, and it's just like this weird mess. It was the weirdest thing ever. We get yelled at. We get yelled at by the guy's dad. He's like, "What the hell are you doing out there on the horses?" And we're just all stupid and blah, blah, blah. He wanted us to go home. We somehow talk him in to letting us stay there till the morning because we were already been drinking. And we wake up in the morning. Literally, I had no shoes on. Somehow, when all this stuff happens, I just tend to lose my shoes. My feet were all dirty. I had bruises all over me from whenever I was trying to get on the horse. I was sick to my stomach. And it was quite possibly one of the weirdest nights of my life. My dad never found out about it. I did end up dating that guy for like 2 weeks after it happened, but then he went and told everybody that I slept with him when I had never slept with anybody before at that time. It had not ended up working out, and I did not have alcohol poisoning. It was just that one night I was puking. I don't know what it was. I don't know if you guys have had that happen. Let me know in the comments down below, but I was puking out blood. But the most random, like, set of events to happen in one night, if you guys have had nights like these, like, it's a hangover night, but you remember it. Like, I didn't black out. There's some nights, not usually. It happens every now and then, you get blackout drunk, but I didn't black out this night. I remembered all of it. I was sick to my stomach. It was a one wild ride. I went really quickly through it. If you could have known, like, the timing, it was like it almost lasted eternity for all of it to happen, but it was a fun time. Anyway, guys, that was one of the craziest moments of my life. I still do have tons of ghost stories and tons of other things that have happened in my life that I'd like to tell you guys about. If you guys want to hear that, put it in the comments down below. Hit a thumbs up button on this one, and until next time, see you guys later.